My name is Tom Fiorita. I'm the CEO of PickUp Technologies. I'm also the founder. I am excited for the opportunity today to address such an esteemed and important audience. Our mission at PickUp is to bring the consumers back to the retailer's native platforms so they, the enterprise, can control the customer experience and keep all the data and revenue with their own company. So the bottom line for retailers, you need to own your own brand to own your business. So what we were looking to become for online retail is effectively offer a retailer the ability to compete at every level with the Amazons or these other consumer-facing companies. I like to use analogies, and I use the Expedia analogy. We can use any of them. We can use Orbitz or Priceline. These are all companies in the travel industry that we've seen this playbook for the last 10 years who drive incremental sales to any one of the airlines or hotels or any hospitality type of industries. But what they don't do is compete with an airline because they're not an airline. They're an incremental sales opportunity. And we certainly see that in our industry as well. The difference is many of the incremental sales companies in the e-commerce business also want to be retailers. So companies like, as mentioned, DoorDash, Postmates, Shipt, Instacart, these are all consumer-facing companies that want to be retailers, but also try to offer a white label solution. PickUp and several other companies are firmly positioned and focused on only one objective, and that is the retailer's ability to offer any of these services on behalf of themselves to gain full control of all of the consumer experiences and data. We just acquired a company called Grocer Key that now we can offer from purchase to doorstep the ability for any enterprise on a white label basis to fully execute an e-commerce transaction from purchase to fulfillment to dispensary to delivery. Now we are one of the only focused from front to back solution that any enterprise can have in the marketplace today. I think the key word really is acceleration. So what this really did was adoption and behavior for online purchasing and, of course, same day and home delivery was accelerated. But the only other factor I'll tell you, I think it opened up different demographic groups that perhaps didn't think in the past that they would be part of this trend. For instance, if you look at 18 to 24s, 24 to 55, 55 to 60, and 65 plus, the 55 plus group, and I can give you some anecdotal stories in the that are certainly out there about large retailers who are incredibly pleased to see that the 55 plus group had to, by necessity during the pandemic, take a look at online or e-commerce for home delivery. During COVID, many of the retailers didn't have the time to fully develop their platforms to handle any of the fulfillment. So what we found in many cases, the demand far exceeded the ability for any retailer to execute and had to restrict. Not only they were having trouble with supply chains of getting merchandise, but when they got the merchandise, the number of people who wanted delivery far exceeded the ability for them to fulfill it. So what happened during COVID, many of these companies had never spent any time on this because at that time it was 1% to 2% penetration, and now we're at the 12 to 13 to 14, and most believe that e-commerce penetration will be in the 25 to 30% range very shortly. So, to get the majority of folks coming to me now directly that I can provide them from purchase to fulfillment to delivery, it is quite large. Companies said, hey, Tom, if you can help me fulfill, can your drivers go shop? Can you offer me the technology for my folks to even shop? And that's why we acquired a company called Grocer Key. But from a macro basis, you're seeing a lot of companies catch up now over time and now realizing, number one, the C-suites, yes, this is a viable market that is certainly large enough to pay attention to. And number two, we better build out our infrastructure to be able to accommodate it. And if that means that there are companies that can provide us all the tools to get us close to us having our own fleets, our own pickers, and our own front end systems, then we certainly want to engage with them. If you're going to be a retailer that's going to be better than the next retailer, it's not because you have delivery and they don't, because everybody will have delivery now. So it goes back to how well can you manage the process and how well can you manage the data. You probably hear a lot out there with companies that talk about data analytics. You hear companies talk about predictive analytics. This is the differentiator. Everybody will have data. What can you do with the data? I'm just allowing any company now to have the data to be able to do what they can do better. Data tells us, obviously, where the demand is. The logistical information allows us to talk about pricing. Opportunities to get a delivery faster is based on the data, whether it's capacity, whether it's a time of day, type of delivery, size of delivery. Opportunity to monetize data and create revenue streams is absolutely paramount to success. If you think about the farmers, there is a considerable amount of margin waste, which I would call fresh or grocery waste, that after several days, if it doesn't get bought off shelves, it has to be destroyed. FDA has a lot of requirements about this. Think about this for a second. If we can have the correct data and we can look at doing better with all our customers on order dates and delivery dates, we can now use that data, go back to all the way back to the farmers, and be able to now pick and deliver far more accurate number of items, number of goods, and the time that you receive it. This will actually increase the margin. You're going to see margin expansion as a result of really becoming much more efficient. So the answer to the question, data is paramount, not only for revenue, but it is actually a phenomenal opportunity for our society to cut down on waste. So if you think about all types of data, there's data of capacity to do deliveries and how we can shape our customers better. And we can actually take a look at days of week, weather, areas of density, traffic. Friday nights, of course, we all know, and we would like to have our groceries or some of our items on Friday at 5. There's probably going to be fewer drivers, which means the price goes up. So any data, arrival times, how long it takes to pick and pack something. So all of what I would call logistical data, let's put that in one bucket. We can access, we can manage, we can dissect and analyze, we can run algorithms, we can run predictive analytics in any one of the logistic data areas. This can help on fulfillment. This can help on staging. This can help on use of square footage at a store. If you are better at time management based on driver arrivals, driver wait times, driver delivery, then you're going to be able to reduce the number of items that you're taking off shelves and staging. The other kind of data, as we now offer with our systems, the front end ability for a white label purchasing or transactional site, now we're getting into frequency, type of orders, and what relative items that you're buying. Out of items that need to be restocked more. Think about the data now on the purchasing side that now interacts with inventory. We can look at now in our systems to generate more revenue, but to make a better customer experience. You order hamburgers. It asks you, it waits, you haven't ordered ketchup. Heinz ketchup now will say they will pay for this position. It will pop up on a coupon for Heinz ketchup. So what is happening? One, you're helping the customer. They forgot about the ketchup. Two, Heinz ketchup is now paying the retailer for that position to sell it. And three, you've just sold another item. This is called the CPG data. It is extraordinarily valuable. I wanted to touch just a little bit on other important areas that that are really impactful both for the grocer and for the customer. That's dynamic pricing. In every one of these aspects of data, if we can have dynamic pricing, the ability to price whether it's a cart size, whether it's a certain number of items that could be on sale or not on sale. If we can allow, which we do, the ability to dynamic price an order based on data that you've gained from a customer. For instance, a customer is ordering 46 items, actually, is the average basket size. And perhaps Pepsi has said if somebody orders $20 or a multiple number of their Pepsi products in a cart that's $150 or more, now if they order the Pepsi Cola and the Frito-Lay chips and some dip, Pepsi might say, let's dynamically price the dip right on that site dynamically to offer them a price off that was not part of a program that they even have in the marketplace. And all of a sudden they can get a sale or an impulse sale. This is incredibly important. We see it with tipping today. You probably don't even know it when you order something online and you see 3 offers that'll say, some people will say 15%, 20 or 25 or other. Some will give you dollar amounts. And those dollar amounts, don't be fooled, those are dynamic. It's based on your cart size, the margin, and all of the elements that are in, and it will focus on certain elements to get you to give a tip that's based on your purchasing. Perhaps the substitution product that you wanted, they didn't have. So now you offer the second substitution, you dynamically price that with a price off, maybe 50%, that will reduce the inconvenience or stress levels, and you'll make a sale versus a no sale at all. It's about satisfying the customer. The end user wants a good experience. They want it to be on time, and they're willing to pay a certain dollar for the value. So I just like to always point out that data is not only singularly attributable to what is most obvious, but as much of the internal efficiencies and optimization here at even our company, or any companies for that matter, is incredibly valuable. And what does it really do? It allows us all to drive the prices correctly, I'm not saying down, but efficiently, that we can make delivery affordable for all and for every single enterprise to be able to offer it. If you think about trading markets, I came from Wall Street, and not every stock or not every city and not every market are the same. So how do we build and how do we use technologies to efficiently operate in suburban areas, urban areas, areas that have traffic issues? Tallahassee at 8 a.m. certainly is going to be different than Hartford, Connecticut at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday versus a Friday versus San Francisco, Chicago, LA, Miami. So think about all of the variables that I just mentioned that are going to come in and become factors for our systems to understand. Is all about performance. If we look at machine learning correctly and we use it in the proper manner, we are going to absolutely increase performance. I look at machine learning in my own company for 3 factors. One is, how can we reduce cost or increase profit? How can we decrease time, whether it's a driver's time, whether it's my operating center time, but time. So you have cost, time, and number 3 is performance. If you can increase your margin and reduce time, but you don't increase performance, it is a waste. So what I want to try to explain to everybody, you must complete and you must absolutely look at all 3 aspects to be able to solve a certain problem. So cost, time, and performance are paramount to the success of really using machine learning in the proper manner. The workforce or the driver force is incredibly important to retain. So some of the biggest factors, and most people believe from the beginning that it's all about price. Yes, absolutely, drivers are certainly price conscious. But I will tell you something. The factors that are equal as important, if not more, is predictability. A driver would rather go out 3 days a week, work 3 hours, and make $60 or $20 an hour versus working a half hour making $15, which would be the equivalent of 30 an hour. So what you have to actually look at, and what our company has done and built a platform where we help folks earn predictability. We help folks want to stay on the platform. We offer them all sorts of rewards and gamification and micro loans and opportunities. But the biggest factor is predictability. About 3 years ago, I rented an RV. I shrink wrapped it. I sent 3 college students out, obviously the best summer job those 3 kids had. And they drove 6,000 miles across the United States. And I gave them one objective: come back to me, interview drivers, interview folks that are doing flex labor. What is their biggest concern or their biggest stress point? And it wasn't money. It was about predictability. Many of these platforms organize an area. They throw a lot of money out in the beginning. They come to town, and then the drivers don't get any consistency. They can't go back to a store on a multiple basis. People would make less money if they knew that they could do it 3 times a week versus one hit. They make $50 and they don't get another job for 4 weeks. I believe many of my competitors in the marketplace build macro networks. I understand macro networks. You load a market with a lot of capacity, and then you help generate a lot of velocity, and you can drive down prices. So we've found a mix, we believe, using machine learning, using artificial intelligence and good policy making to build micro networks. So if we are in a rural or suburban market with 1 store or 2 stores, we look at demand and we look at capacity and we look at ratios. What is the ratio of drivers needed to be able to supply? What is the requisite number of drivers that you won't have a no driver show? You'll have enough drivers, but you'll satisfy the driver need for predictability. This is not something that comes easy. It takes a lot of work to do, but our local markets, which we use a term called micro networks, we believe have really become an advantage in the marketplace. And I believe even currently today, where a retailer tells us where to be is really quite backwards. It really needs to be where's the capacity, where's the flex labor available, and that should be communicated with the retailer. That is then communicated when somebody is trying to make a purchase. Just think about it. If you're going out as a retailer and you ask a customer, do you want delivery today? And they say, yes, 5 o'clock and it's 3 o'clock now. The capacity might not be there. It might be more expensive or it might be cheaper. So think about it. If I could provide all that data to the retailer in their system now dynamically can actually react to a customer's requests based on the market indicators that will now get closer to aligning a customer's desires, the cost to perform it, and the experience and the outcome and the performance. We're working on some opportunities right now that we believe will be possibly ahead of our times, but looking at these situations where, sustainability, not only sustainability for drivers, not only sustainability for the customer, not only sustainability for the enterprise, but for our environment. Obviously putting more electric cars in the marketplace. So if I can leave you with something that may sound a little bit harsh, and this is basically to retailers, I think you have to take a look at 3 areas. You have to look at coordination and cooperation with all of your vendors. I think you have to look at it as a full, number 2, an ecosystem. It's not going to just be delivery. It'll be some BOPUS. It'll be autonomous. It'll be drones. It'll be incremental sales. It'll take an ecosystem to accomplish this. And it's also going to take the understanding of how to use data and the coordination of it. If a retailer today does not embrace the native use of their own sites, controlling their customer and their own brands, they will be out of business in 5 years. So thank you all. I appreciate you listening. If you have any questions or comments in the future, you can certainly be in touch with me. I'll even give you my email. It's tom@pointpickup.com. Enjoy your day.